Hello, everybody. It is Friday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for multimedia at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, joined by Jason Mackey to sort through the Pitt's Backyard Brawl loss to West Virginia. What does it mean for Pat Narduzzi's future? I think we've kind of broken down the game itself a fair amount. But listen, when you lose a rivalry game like Pitt did this past week, there's going to be questions about the state of the program. That's just how it goes in college football, and that goes doubly now because of the just unpredictable nature of the sport. So, Jason, I want to dig straight into that. Pitt needs to position itself as best it can in this landscape as it continues to evolve. It feels like the program is regressing from where it was in 2021, 2022. I don't think we expect Pitt to be a national title contender, but in the ACC, they've proven they can beat the Clemsons. They've proven that they can beat the Miamis. They've done all of these things, and the consistency has gone backwards versus where they were a couple years ago. How does that reflect on Pat Narduzzi, and how should it reflect on him?
Yeah, I mean, not well. I guess I'll say not well for both of them, Adam. I mean, I was down in Morgantown. I was driving back kind of thinking about how must Allen Greene think of this? How must he think of his head coach and the job Pat Narduzzi has done? And I mean, it's not good. It's not a great reflection of Pat. Now, obviously, it's a complex thing with a buyout, right? Like Allen Greene can't just, like the NFL and say, yeah, get out of here, you're done. Like there's a lot of years and money on his contract. So it's a complicated equation, but Pitt starts out really well and then absolutely goes in the tank last year, winds up in the game above Sports Bowl. Like that's not what Allen Greene, if he wants to talk about, generating more excitement and money and donations and NIL and all this stuff that Pitt's trying to, kind of package itself in the new era of college sports. Like obviously that's important, right? And you have to win games in your most prominent sport. I'm sorry, beating Central Michigan and Duquesne isn't going to do it. And then you go on the road against your biggest rival. Finally, there's some juice here behind Pitt, for the first time since they were winning games last year. And then you lay a gigantic egg. And not only that, inside of it, I didn't like how the Panthers were prepared. They were not. A very slow start. A lot of, I think, the game plan and decision-making in the second half, you probably got into that with Steven and Abby, and they talked about it on the Pitt channel more, but that didn't make sense. You work back to gain the lead, and then you can't handle it. The penalties, sorry, man. It's a long-winded way of saying there's a lot that falls back on Pat Narduzzi for this loss, and I don't think the Pitt program is in a great position because of it.
Well, I do want to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here of how much of this is Pat Narduzzi and how much of this is where the program is, regardless of who the head coach is. Because, when I say this, I am not talking about the 30,000 or so people who go to every game, who have Pitt in their social media avatars. They make it a great atmosphere. I have more fun, Jason, and I'm a Penn State guy. I have more fun going to Pitt games than I do to a Steeler game because of the atmosphere and how everyone who is at a Pitt game is excited to be there. That said, there is a huge chunk of this quote unquote fan base who have Steelers stuff in their avatar and are focused on the NFL as soon as the Pitt game ends, and they're looking forward to Sunday. And they just kind of do this drive-by commentary of Pitt and Pat Narduzzi 5 to 7 times a year when they lose. And they're otherwise unengaged. And at a certain point, when you're talking about the difference between a Pitt and a Penn State, it is on some level the buy-in of the fan base and their ability to go out and say, we want this player, we want this player, we want this player. Penn State was able to do that this offseason because they had the NIL budget to do it. Pitt does not. So on what level is this the program the broader fan base deserves, even if there are some diehards who make it great to be there?
I mean, we're saying the same thing, Adam. You're proving my point. You're not even playing devil's advocate. Like we're talking about trying to solve the same problem. Like Penn State is what it is because people are talking about them on Monday after a Steelers game. Like they still matter to people. Pitt is never going to be that way where you just, shove aside the Steelers inside the city of Pittsburgh. But like right now, how many people are talking about the Pitt Panthers on Monday? They're just not. Like a Steeler game is going to push them to the side, and they're going to do the 5 to 7 times a year the flybys on Pat Narduzzi or whatever, and that's the world they're living in. If you want to get to another world, and Pitt is never going to be Penn State, I'm not saying that, but if you want to live a little bit more like they do in the middle of the state, you need to raise that program. And Pat Narduzzi has not done it recently. The opportunity to do that is capitalizing on a 7-0 start. The opportunity to do that is having a game in Morgantown that you should not lose. You should maintain momentum 3-0. I realize the upshot for Pitt was not great, but when Pitt has the opportunities to take that next step, to be even 66% of what Penn State is, or 50% of what Penn State is, to change the conversation, to draw more attention to Pitt, thus, you're going to get more dollars in. You're going to get, it's going to be better business-wise for Allen Greene and everybody around running the athletic program. They have stumbled. And to me, then that falls back on the head coach. I don't know where else I would put responsibility for it. But it's a cycle that Pitt has not done a very good job of handling.
Yeah. I guess I just assign I assign blame a little more broadly when we refer to Pitt than
that's fine. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
If I was one of those hardcore Pitt fans, I'd just be so annoyed by these people who think they have these very, very deep takes about Pat Narduzzi for the hour and a half they spent watching the second half, and then they go off and do something else. I would be so annoyed by those people ranting about Pat Narduzzi, even if they are right about certain. Does that make sense? Am I coming out of left on that? It's so annoying for me. And again, I'm a Penn State guy.
I don't think you're wrong at all, Adam. I mean, I see it more aligned than anything different. Like, again, if I am a hardcore Pitt fan, I want as many people to care about Pitt, and I want to scrutinize, and I want to see my team do well. It's been so samey with Pat. And for a while, look at the coaching carousel they went through, right? That's what I use as kind of base level type stuff. I say, do I want to go back there? If I'm Pitt, do I want to take my chances with Michael Haywood and Todd Graham and this mess of stuff? And for a while, it was no. I'm going to ride it out with Pat Narduzzi and see if things happen. We've gotten more and more evidence, and we've seen what Pitt is under Pat Narduzzi. And I worry about that ceiling being high enough for what they need. At this point, given all they've experienced, I think it's probably a better move for them to roll the dice. Now, I'll hear out what the Panthers do this season, and maybe they bounce back from the WVU loss and all is well, and they dominate the ACC. Great. Then we can forget this podcast ever happened. But as of now, if this continues, if Pitt's going to be a 6 or 7 win team and go to a bowl that nobody cares about, I need more from my head football coach if I'm trying to take the next step as an athletic department and a school that achieves in that space.
Well, yes, and I think for them the problem is that you hired Pat Narduzzi in a different era, and arguably his biggest successes came in a different era before this NIL stuff, before everything has rolled down the hill with this, and maybe he is not the best fit for the program at this time, and maybe you have to find someone who's more apt to be that savvy talent recruiter, someone who can go find a player no one else is valuing, bring them in here, have success. That's what Pitt has to do to get to the top of the ACC, and if you can't compete the way Pat Narduzzi doesn't seem to be able to do right now, then I think it's a valid question, despite the contract and everything else we've been talking about. Jason, we want to encourage everyone to check out ACC futures over at FanDuel. Probably not feeling great about Pitt at this moment, but they're still 0-0 in the conference, so maybe you can get longer odds. Maybe if you want to bet on them to win the ACC, you can get a better price. Check out our friends at FanDuel. Jason, let's talk about the team a little bit here. What's the significance of the Desmond Reid injury to you? Should his health feel as important as it does?
No, it shouldn't. I mean, they should have more running back depth. Man, if there was one position they really can't withstand a sizable injury, it's this one. And it's not just Des Reid being really good. I mean, they just do not have anything behind Des Reid. I mean, Joel Goff, okay. Behind him, it starts getting really hairy. So there's a lot hinging on this. I don't think they've done a great job of utilizing Des Reid so far, at least taking advantage of him. But now it's kind of complicated with, I believe it's a hamstring. So they need him back. That's an obvious statement. But I just worry about how much of an impact that injury is going to have on their offense, because Eli Holstein, you don't need me to tell you that, Adam, also has not been, he's put up some numbers, but if anybody watched that WVU game, he was not very good.
Jason, what other storylines are you watching as we get to the off week here? Is it Eli Holstein himself? Is it this defense and the way it's looked shaky in the secondary at times? What are the biggest headlines for you and things that they need to get straight as they head into ACC play?
The defense is one of them. I was really surprised how West Virginia was able to move the ball at times against them. I watched the West Virginia-Ohio game, Adam, and I did not think West Virginia was going to be able to do that. I know Pitt was without its top two corners, and I know that they got pressure intermittently. This is a defense that should perform better than it did against WVU. So, I mean, that's certainly one thing. But I'm not going to shy away from the Holstein thing. I don't mean to, beat the drum too much, but I think it's a valid point. Like, they're paying him a lot of NIL money. It's sort of like the TJ Watt thing, to whom a lot is given, a lot is expected. So I'm expecting a lot out of Eli Holstein. I can't have him turning the ball over. We've seen 3 games and we've seen some highly questionable reads. I worry about how much he sort of exposes himself and when he tucks it and runs. I'd like to see his decision-making improve a little bit. So I don't know, more pressure on the back end, better play out of the cornerbacks, health of the cornerbacks, and Eli are probably the Cliff Notes version of what I'm looking at. There's a lot, though. There's a lot.
Yeah, I even think back to that interception against Duquesne, Jason. I mean, Duquesne was not a good enough team to take advantage of it, but it was a bad interception, and Duquesne was able to climb back into that game momentarily. And that was the door he opened. And yeah, you can write it off when you're playing Duquesne because you're still going to win in the end. But that type of decision in that type of spot against a better team is going to get you burned. And so you better hope he learns from that. Excuse me, if you're a Pitt fan. But anyway, I'll look forward to continuing this discourse as we get into conference play. The games start to matter a lot more. I mean, listen, nothing matters more than the backyard brawl. But in terms of the standings and where Pitt's going to finish, these games are going to be getting big here. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, checking out everything Jason and I are doing, everything Stephen and Abby, our beat reporters, are doing. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And make sure you check out Post-Gazette.com for more written coverage. Get a subscription there as well. We always appreciate that. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.